Last day in, you feel me? First day out.
Rapper Li Rye went from stacking millions to watching it all vanish fast. Word is he got caught up in a wild lifestyle, spending big on parties and bad habits until the money dried up. When the cash was gone, he made a desperate move that landed him behind bars, now facing up to 50 years. But the latest reports say things inside aren't easy for him. His fame made him a target, and the guards allegedly refused to place him in protective custody. Let's break down exactly how it all went down. Li Rye's story isn't just another rapper's downfall. It's a raw look at how success can slip away in a heartbeat. This is the tale of a young man from one of America's toughest neighborhoods who got a chance at everything, only to lose it all trying to prove himself to the same streets that once shaped him. Li Rye was born and raised in one of the roughest areas of the city, where every day is a test of survival. Imagine a place where the poverty rate is over 40%, where sirens and shouts echo through the night, and where too many young men don't make it past 25. Growing up in that chaos, Li Rye was just a kid trying to find his way. His family had it rough. His mom worked multiple jobs just to keep food on the table, while his dad was in and out of the system. With money tight and hope even tighter, Li Rye couldn't help but look up to the local guys flashing cars, cash, and jewelry.
Brush my teeth. I've been woke for 45 minutes, man.
To him, that was what success looked like in a world where real chances were almost impossible to find. What made Li Rye stand out from everyone around him was his raw gift for music and his powerful way of turning real-life struggles into lyrics people could feel. He started out spitting freestyles at local rap circles, rocking underground shows, and slowly building a name in Atlanta's tough and crowded rap scene. His verses weren't just catchy, they were deep reflections of street life, poverty, and the fight to rise above a system that seemed built to hold people back. In neighborhoods like his, talent alone doesn't guarantee a way out. You need a real chance, and those don't come easy when you're starting from the bottom. You could be the best rapper in your whole block, but without the right network, money, or someone to put your sound in front of the right ears, it's almost impossible to break through. But Li Rye's grind was about to pay off in a major way. Everything changed when Gucci Mane caught wind of his tracks through a mutual connection in Atlanta's buzzing music scene and instantly knew he'd discovered something special. But this wasn't your average come-up story. Gucci didn't just offer Li Rye a small starter deal. He went all in with a massive $2.5 million contract. That kind of money completely flipped Li Rye's world upside down. For a young artist who had never seen more than a few $1,000s in his life, it was like his wildest dream had just come to true overnight. This wasn't just a record deal, it was a complete transformation of Li Rye's entire world and everyone around him. He went from having absolutely nothing to living a lifestyle most people only dream about. Imagine going from sharing a cramped one-bedroom apartment with family to suddenly owning a mansion in the suburbs. It was like stepping into a whole new reality overnight. New rides, plural. Sleek luxury cars lined up in the driveway, shining under the sun. His jewelry collection was worth more than most people make in a year, and his closet was filled with designer fits and high-end watches. But what truly hit him the hardest wasn't just the money, it was the newfound respect he earned from the same streets that once doubted he'd make it. For someone who grew up with next to nothing, wearing the same sneakers until they fell apart, sometimes going to bed without a meal, this sudden wave of wealth felt unreal. It was thrilling, addictive, and powerful all at once. But as the saying goes, money doesn't really change a person, it simply exposes who they've always been. And what it exposed about Li Rye was that no one had ever taught him how to manage real success or handle that kind of money wisely. This is where the story takes a darker turn. Li started blowing through his fortune, getting caught up in constant parties and reckless choices. He wasn't just spending on the fun lifestyle, he was surrounding himself with people who encouraged him to keep the good times rolling, no matter the cost. What started off as casual partying quickly spiraled into something way deeper. Li Rye found himself caught in a dangerous cycle that began taking over every part of his life. The flashy side of hip-hop culture has always been tied to heavy partying, but Li took it way beyond that. He wasn't just turning up to deal with fame or pressure, he was trying to quiet the pain from his past and escape the weight of his new reality. The truth is, jumping from poverty to sudden wealth can mess with your head just as much as any major life change. Without real guidance or people who truly care, it's easy to fall into bad habits just to cope. And that's exactly what happened to Li Rye. Instead of handling his career like a business, he treated it like a non-stop celebration, like he just hit the jackpot and it would never run out. The cash kept flowing, the parties never seemed to stop, and there was always someone nearby encouraging him to keep the fun going. His circle was living large off his success, and Li was too caught up in the moment to see what was really happening. People who had never supported him when he was struggling suddenly started showing up, acting like lifelong friends with their hands out waiting for favors. Soon, all that wild living started taking a serious toll. His energy dropped, his focus faded, and his music, the thing that built his empire, began to suffer. He'd miss studio sessions, show up hours late, or sometimes not at all. Producers and engineers started getting frustrated with Li's lack of focus during studio sessions. It was becoming nearly impossible to get a full track done. Music video shoots kept getting delayed because he'd show up out of it, too tired or distracted to perform. Meanwhile, Gucci Mane, being a sharp businessman who had overcome his own challenges and learned from his past, started seeing the warning signs early. He had invested major money into Li Rye, not just a signing bonus, but also funding for studio sessions, music videos, promo campaigns, and tours. When an artist starts slipping, it doesn't just hurt their own reputation, it affects everyone's pockets. The moment that shook the industry came when Gucci Mane made the tough call to drop Li Rye from his label. This wasn't done out of anger or disrespect, it was a hard business move. Gucci had put real faith in Li Rye, hoping he'd rise to greatness, but it was clear the situation was falling apart fast. He realized that keeping Li Rye on the label had become too risky, the losses were stacking up, and the reward just wasn't there anymore. So he made the call that no one expected, cutting ties before things got worse. And that's when the reality of Li Rye's choices started to hit him hard.
After being dropped, his buzz disappeared almost overnight. The music industry doesn't give second chances easily. Once you're seen as unreliable or difficult to work with, the doors start closing quick. Radio stations stopped spinning his songs, streaming platforms stopped pushing his new releases, and other artists started keeping their distance. Within months, Li Rye went from being the next big name in hip-hop to fighting to stay relevant. His money was nearly gone, the label deal vanished, and he was left watching the empire he built crumble right in front of his eyes. Everything started falling apart fast. The mansion? Gone, foreclosed. The flashy cars? Repossessed one by one. Even the jewelry, once a symbol of his success, had to be sold off just to cover mounting debts. And as soon as the money disappeared, so did all those friends who used to be around every night. The same people who once hyped him up and partied with him were nowhere to be found when things got rough. Instead of trying to rebuild his music career, getting real help, or reconnecting with people in the industry who could have guided him back, Li Rye slowly drifted back to the same environment he fought so hard to leave. It's a sad pattern we've seen too many times. Artists who reach the top but can't handle the pressure. And when everything crashes, they run back to the only world they know. But here's where things got seriously dangerous. Once you've had success and lost it, going back to the block isn't the same as never leaving it. Now everyone knows your name, your past, and your worth. Some people assume you're still sitting on stacks or have connections to quick money, and that puts a major target on your back. On top of that, losing everything messes with your head, making it easy to start making reckless decisions out of desperation. And just when it seemed things couldn't get worse, they did. Li Rye was already dealing with legal issues before his biggest downfall. He'd been picked up earlier on a small charge, something minor, and eventually got released on bond. For a brief moment, it looked like he might finally catch a break and start turning things around. But that hope didn't last long. Barely 2 hours after being released, federal agents showed up and took him back into custody. This time, it wasn't just some small charge or a simple mistake. This was serious. When the feds step in, it's because they've got real evidence in a case that's usually locked tight. And once they move, it's almost always a done deal. Now here's where things take a wild turn, because the situation that landed Li Rye where he is today is nothing short of shocking. Let's break it down step by step, because this part of the story flips everything upside down. Li Rye was at a recording studio, maybe trying to restart his music career, or maybe just hanging around a familiar scene that felt like home. Studios can be busy spots where people move big amounts of cash for legit reasons. Studio sessions, gear, collaborations, you name it. That kind of money isn't unusual in the industry. But on this particular day, there was someone at the studio who reportedly had around $100,000 in cash on him. Nobody knows exactly what it was for. Maybe a feature payment, maybe business. But what's clear is that Li Rye, struggling and under a lot of pressure, saw it as a quick way to fix his money problems. He linked up with one of his old friends from the neighborhood, someone who was also down bad and looking for a way out. Together, they made a terrible choice. They tried to take that money by force. It turned into a serious federal case because when big money and threats get involved, it automatically crosses into dangerous territory. The person being targeted, though, refused to back down and didn't give up the bag. That's when everything spiraled out of control, fast. That moment took a sharp turn from bad to absolutely life-changing. Li Rye made a split-second decision that would haunt him forever. He pulled the trigger. Thankfully, no one was hurt, but that one action changed everything. The situation instantly escalated, and now the charges weren't just about theft. Authorities added further criminal charges in addition to the robbery allegation. Realizing how serious things had just become, Li Rye and his friend panicked and ran from the scene. But it was already too late. In today's world, with cameras on every corner and digital footprints everywhere, running doesn't mean escaping. Within hours, the authorities had enough footage and evidence to track him down. There was no hiding this time. His name, face, and story were everywhere. Now, let's talk about what's really happening to Li Rye right now, because this is where things get heavy. He's facing the possibility of a decades-long federal sentence connected to the robbery case and firearm charges. At his age, that's basically a lifetime behind bars. Even if he somehow gets a reduced sentence, he'd be an old man by the time he walks free, if he ever does. But the legal battle is only one part of his nightmare. Inside prison, things are tough, especially for someone with fame and a reputation. And to make matters worse, he doesn't even have the funds left to hire a strong legal team. The kind of high-powered lawyer who could work out a deal or fight for a lighter sentence is way out of reach now. Every dollar from that multi-million-dollar deal is gone, spent on parties, expensive cars that got taken back, wild nights, and helping people who vanished the moment he got locked up. The same folks who once called him family disappeared when things got hard. Inside those prison walls, Li Rye's world has completely flipped. Gone are the luxury cars, the flashing lights, and the fans screaming his name. Now it's cold cells, strict routines, and a reputation that makes life inside way more dangerous. Because of who he is, Li isn't just another inmate. His fame paints a big target on his back. Some people in there respect him for his name, but others see him as a challenge, someone to test for clout or bragging rights. Reports say he's been struggling to adjust to prison life. The guards reportedly refuse to place him in protective custody, meaning he's out there with the general population. No special treatment, no celebrity status, just another man trying to survive behind bars. For someone who once had it all, that reality hits hard every single day. What makes it even tougher is the mental weight he's carrying. The guilt, the regret, and the constant thought of what if I had done things differently are said to be eating him alive. It's a painful fall from fame. One minute he's performing on stage in designer fits, the next he's wearing a prison uniform, watching his own life play out like a movie he can't pause or rewind. Word from insiders says he keeps mostly to himself now, trying to avoid drama and stay low-key. But that's not easy when everyone knows your name. Some people try to get close just to say they were cool with a famous rapper, but others look for any reason to start something. Every day is a test of patience, strength, and survival. What's wild is that even with everything that's happened, some fans out here still hold out hope for him. They post his old tracks, share his interviews, and talk about how he could have been one of the greats if he just stayed focused.
Right now, Li Rye is relying on a public defender, Someone who might mean well and know the law, but simply doesn't have the time, resources, or influence to fight a massive federal case like this. Public defenders are often juggling dozens of cases at once, underpaid and stretched thin. They do what they can, but it's not the same as having a high-profile attorney with the connections and power to negotiate deals or challenge evidence. And sadly, that gap in legal defense can be the difference between hope and a life behind bars. But the real heartbreak isn't just the courtroom, it's what's happening to him inside. Because of his fame, Li Rye isn't treated like a regular inmate. In that environment, being known on the outside can actually make things worse. Some inmates see celebrities as soft or privileged, assuming they've got hidden money or access to favors. That reputation makes them prime targets for bullying, extortion, and constant testing. According to people familiar with the situation, Li Rye's been getting harassed and pushed around by other inmates trying to make a name off him. He's reportedly been involved in a few tense run-ins, sometimes getting jumped or threatened just because of who he used to be. They demand things like commissary items or money he doesn't even have anymore. Imagine the switch from private jets, fancy hotels, and personal security to sleeping in a cold cell surrounded by people who see you as a prize or a problem. For someone who once lived in luxury, that's a brutal wake-up call. Prison is a whole different universe. It runs on respect, power, and survival. The fame that used to open doors for Li Rye now puts him in danger every single day. Inside, nobody cares about hit songs or flashy videos. What matters is strength, loyalty, and how you carry yourself when the pressure hits. Inside those walls, money and fame mean nothing. In fact, they can make life even harder. Other inmates often look at celebrities like Li Rye and see someone who had every opportunity they never got, someone who threw away success they could only dream of. That kind of resentment turns dangerous fast, and it's made Li Rye a prime target for hate and jealousy from all sides. But what really makes things worse is that the guards reportedly refused to move him into protective custody, also known as PC. That's the section where inmates who face threats or danger from others are kept separate for safety. It's not an easy life. It's mostly isolation, with long hours alone, but at least it keeps you out of constant conflict. Without that protection, Li Rye is stuck in the general population, where every day feels like walking on thin ice. His situation is made even tougher because of what he's charged with. In prison culture, certain crimes carry a different kind of weight. Serious criminal allegations don't tend to earn much respect, especially when they involve someone connected to the same industry that once brought you recognition. If it was something like business-related hustling or other organized crimes, he might have had more standing among the inmates. But robbery, especially against someone in music, is viewed as desperate and reckless, like a fall of grace too hard to recover from. Now, the emotional toll of all this is brutal. Li Rye went from being loved and praised, surrounded by luxury and constant attention, to living in fear every single day. One moment he was performing in front of fans, and the next he's watching his back just to make it through the night. The mental weight of that kind of fall is unimaginable. Feeling hated where you were once adored, broke where you were once rich, and isolated after being the center of attention. Without the right help, therapy, or real support, many people in Li Rye's position don't make it, mentally or physically. The harsh truth is, prison isn't built to heal anyone, it's built to break them down. The question now is, can Li Rye actually survive this? Can he come out of this experience without losing his mind or his spirit completely? Because one thing's for sure, prison changes people, and usually not for the better. The constant tension, the threat of fights, the loneliness, and the reminder every day that freedom might never come, it eats away at you. Even the toughest people start to crack under that pressure. The isolation from everything and everyone familiar, the music, the fans, the people who once cheered for you, turns into a kind of mental prison that's even worse than the physical one. Many celebrities who end up behind bars either come out unrecognizable or never make it out at all. But this isn't just about one man's fall down, it's a much bigger story. Li Rye's situation highlights a painful cycle that so many young men from struggling neighborhoods face: poverty, violence, quick money, and no real guidance. When you suddenly come into wealth without mentors, financial education, or emotional support to deal with the pressure of fame, it can be just as dangerous as growing up broke. The streets that raise you can feel like family, but those same streets can also pull you right back in when you least expect it. That's the harsh reality Li Rye is living right now. The saddest part of all this, it didn't have to happen. With the right people around him, real mentors, financial coaching, and emotional support to deal with the pressure of fame, Li Rye could have built something lasting. He could have broken that cycle that traps so many of his peers. Now, Li Rye is staring down the possibility of spending the rest of his life behind bars, another painful reminder of how fast success can flip into tragedy. His story has become a warning for every young artist chasing fame without understanding what comes with it. It shows that success without wisdom doesn't last, that money without financial sense can destroy you, and fame without a solid foundation means nothing in the end. The streets don't care about your bank account, your record deal, or how many followers you got. They'll take it all back in a heartbeat if you're not careful. And what's even wilder, the same music industry that lifted him up can be just as dangerous as the streets when you're not prepared. The sudden money, the pressure to keep up an image, the fake friends, and the access to bad choices, it's a trap that has taken down more talent than most people realize. Li Rye's story isn't just about one man's fall down. It's a reflection of how unprepared success can be just as risky as struggle. When you mix fast fame with no real support system, it's a recipe for disaster. And now, sitting in that cell, Li Rye's case also shines a harsh light on how the system treats people differently based on money and influence. If he'd had a top-notch legal team, the kind that costs millions, maybe things would have gone differently. Maybe he could have worked out a better plea or avoided the harshest charges altogether. If he'd had real connections, people would pull in the system. He might have gotten protective custody or a safer placement right away. But without money or status, he's just another name in an overcrowded system that often forgets about rehabilitation and fairness.
His story is heartbreaking because it didn't have to end like this. With the right guidance, discipline, and a circle that actually cared, Li Rye could have been one of the biggest names in the game. Instead, he's now a lesson about how fast it can all disappear when you let the wrong choices run your life. So what do you think about Li Rye's situation and what might come next for him? Does he deserve another chance at redemption, or are the consequences he's facing fair for what went down? It's a heavy question, but it opens up a real conversation. How can the music industry step up to better guide and protect young artists from tough environments who suddenly find themselves surrounded by money, pressure, and fame? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let's talk about it. Don't forget to subscribe because we're breaking down the real stories behind the headlines, the ones the streets never stop watching. We cover it all: the rise, the fall, the pain, and the lessons that come with chasing success in a world that doesn't forgive mistakes easily. Because even now, Li Rye's story isn't finished. It's tragic, but it's also a wake-up call, a lesson on how fast success can disappear when you're not ready for the weight that comes with it. With stronger guidance, real mentorship, and better understanding of what fame truly brings, this story could have had a very different ending. Let that sink in for a second. Every decision matters, and some can echo for life. If you want to see more stories like this, real, raw, and eye-opening, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the notifications so you never miss an upload. Your support keeps these stories alive, and together, we can keep shining light on the truth behind the fame.